Welcome back to the thrilling crime-solving journey of Xu Qi'an in the Nightwatcher, Chapter 59. This child is too difficult. I want teach him. A procession of carriages slowly came to a halt at the base of Mount Qingyun. From the lavish carriage, the eldest princess gracefully descended the narrow steps, flanked by armed guards as she ascended the slope. A gentle mountain breeze swept through, sending her skirt and hair fluttering lightly. She tilted her head upward to embrace the wind, narrowing her clear, bright eyes in delight. Reaching a gazebo nestled on the mountainside, she spotted an elderly scholar with gray hair seated at a wooden desk, facing a small child before him. Beside the child was a young girl, her head bent low as she engaged in needlework, her beauty striking. The old scholar spoke in a deep voice. I've told you numerous times. Hold the brush correctly. The child replied, I know, sir. The old man continued, then correct your grip. The child asked, correct what? Forget it for today. Let's chant the three-character classic together. He sighed and cleared his throat. Human nature is inherently good. What does human nature mean? The child inquired. Human nature is inherently good, the old man repeated. Human? What? Came the child's confused response. Human nature is inherently good. The child paused. I forgot. Do it again. Human nature is inherently good. What does human nature mean? The old man was growing impatient, his frustration palpable. Outside the gazebo, the eldest princess chuckled softly, her bright eyes shimmering with amusement, illuminating her radiant beauty. The old scholar noticed her presence and quickly stood, clasping his hands in a respectful gesture. Your Highness, I humbly greet you. The princess stroked her chin thoughtfully, her voice clear and melodic, like crystal chimes. When did the library of Yunlu begin admitting children? The scholar gestured for the two girls to come forward. Xu Lingyue rose to bow. While Xu Lingyan stared wide-eyed at the striking beauty before her, she bore both the stature and grace of their mother but with an aura far more captivating. The old scholar floundered for words. Forgive the child's rudeness, Your Highness. It wasn't that he was overly worried. The princess, though dignified and aloof, was an avid reader with a heart open to the world. He continued, these two are relatives of one of my students at the library. Due to family matters, I allowed them to stay temporarily. Take refuge, the princess thought, quickly piecing together the implications of his words. She appraised the beautiful girl and the not-so-bright child, a faint smile gracing her lips. Whose student? She casually identified herself as a half-student of the library, aware of its rules. Without the Grand Scholar's approval, no student's family could stay on Mount Qingyun. Xu Lingyue answered lightly, my elder brother, Xu Tan Nian. She didn't mention Xu Qi'an since he wasn't a student of the library. Xu Tan Nian, the princess hesitated, quickly recalling the connection between the two brothers and their family's situation, which she had investigated. The man behind the tax scandal was Xu Shilong, and only a week prior, Xu Qi'an had clashed with him in the bustling streets. She looked at the lovely girl, her voice softening. How long has it been? Almost a week, Xu Lingyue replied. She knew he was acquainted with Kai Wei, who was aware of Xu Shilang's involvement in the tax scandal. Thus, it wasn't surprising that this little official was in the loop. Self-aware of offending Xu Shilong, taking the female relatives to the library was one way to handle it. But wasn't fleeing the capital entirely a better choice? Leaving the women behind while the men remained in the heart of the city. What was the real plan here? Contemplating the incident that led to Xu Shilang's exile, the princess narrowed her eyes slightly and pondered. As they moved ahead, the princess noticed the striking change in Zhao Shou's demeanor. In just a week, the headmaster appears transformed. Previously, He had carried a disheveled appearance, his hair wild, his face shadowed by worry. Today, his eyes not only sparkled but also gleamed with vitality, his presence more commanding yet composed. Zhao Shou didn't respond directly but laughed heartily. The sage says, "Learning knows no bounds. Only merit should be valued." So he says. The princess mused, intrigued. She understood that he believed there were worthy scholars despite their youth. This likely connected to the rumors surrounding the unprecedented breakthrough at the sacred hall the other day. Her curiosity about that incident remained strong. It was linked to the ideological conflicts of the Confucian school, shaping the future political landscape. What exactly had happened at the sacred hall? No one had been allowed to enter. And even Da Zhongren had thrown in the towel. The princess shifted her gaze to the bamboo forest swaying outside the window. Sighing. Does the headmaster know about Xu Qi'an's downfall? To officials of the Da Feng court, this is merely the beginning of the power struggles. Zhao Shou replied with a chuckle, trying to deflect the conversation. Since Li Mu Bai has been beaten by Wei Yuan thrice, there's hardly anyone left to play chess with me here in the library. If your highness is willing to indulge me, let's play a game. The princess sighed. If I play chess with you, headmaster, why would you invite further embarrassment upon yourself? Meanwhile, within a building adjacent to the slope, 3 esteemed scholars had just concluded a discussion. A young attendant delivered a letter addressed to the princess, who had come to visit the library. In the letter, the princess remarked on an outstanding literary work that had recently emerged in the capital, causing great excitement among the scholarly community. The National Academy praised it as the finest poem in a century, even surpassing the renowned farewell poem from the Yunlu Library. Even more fascinating was that it originated from the Education Bureau, blending talented individuals with beauty, further enriching the story and spreading its fame. Finally, the princess attached the brief poem that had ignited a fervor among scholars. After only a few days of seclusion, a remarkable work had appeared in the capital. Zhao Shou inspected and appreciated the letter and its poem. A shadow of plum blossoms to the fair Fushang, where the waters mirror the lean plum's form. Under the moon, a soft fragrance drifts in the twilight. Zhao Shou sat still, as if carved from stone, pondering for a long while before gently allowing the paper he held to fall. Li Mu Bai and Chen Tai discussed tea and casual gossip. Chun Jane, Ao Ping, take a look at this, Zhao Shou urged. As his serious tone caught their attention, both scholars stared in confusion. Li Mu Bai took the paper, quickly scanning it before pausing with an unusual solemnity. I'll have a look, Chen Tai said, reaching for the paper and reading through it, savoring it deeply. That first image, the plum blossoms, it captures their elegance and grace in just 2 lines. What a refined soul, Chen Tai praised. Li Mu Bai followed up. Though Ning Yan's, who in the world doesn't know you, evokes a passionate spirit. When it comes to depth, beauty, and the captivating quality of poetry, it falls completely short. Zhao Shou stroked his beard thoughtfully. Having this poem, no verse will ever exceed it. Who is this Yang Ling, with such talent? Why have I never heard of him before? Chen Tai referred back to the letter's content. He seems to be a local scholar from Xianxia County, visiting the Education Bureau. Who composed this poem for the fair Fushang? The room fell silent, the atmosphere thick with unspoken feelings. Zhao Shou pondered for a long time. I think we should inform the headmaster immediately and bring this scholar into the library. A talent like this cannot be overlooked. Chen Tai and Li Mu Bai readily agreed. Makes sense. Ellipsis. This time, when Xu Siju and Ning Yan came to escort their aunt and younger sisters, the first task was to pay their respects to their teacher. Just as the 3 esteemed scholars finished their teaching, they heard that their student had come with great regard to visit, deciding to stay and share tea. Zhao Shou immediately sensed a change in his student's disposition. smiling with satisfaction. "See, Ju, it seems that copying the teachings of the sage has proven beneficial for you." Xu Ju blushed and nodded. Li Mu Bai raised an eyebrow. "Copying the sage's words helped you reach the state of self-cultivation. How come this old man wasn't aware?" Xu Nian opened his mouth but chose silence. He had indeed touched the threshold to the state of self-cultivation. But that was thanks to the 4 verses his brother had inscribed on the stone tablet. It was a transformation he hadn't even realized had occurred. However, it was best not to speak of this in front of everyone. Everyone knew where those 4 lines originated. After some light exchanges, Chen Tai glanced at Li Mu Bai and Zhao Shou, chuckling, "You fellows in the capital must have heard of the recent masterful work. Where the waters mirror the lean plums form under the moonlight. A soft fragrance drifts in the evening breeze. Splendid. Truly splendid. Ning Yan, even though you have talent as a poet, don't get too full of yourself. Remember that there are hidden dragons and crouching tigers among scholars worldwide." It was clear that he felt competitive, slightly envious of their rich circle. But the masterful critique was hard to refute. Zhao Shou sighed. "This poem is indeed remarkable. Ning Yan, don't be disheartened. This plum blossom verse is an unparalleled work, it's pointless to compare." Li Mu Bai nodded. "Though today's scholars may lack a bit of spirit, there is always a possibility. Yang Ling may not produce a second piece, while Ning Yan has already crafted 3. The chance of a 4th is quite high." Xu Nian glanced at his elder brother. "This poem was also written by my brother." Chapter 60. The Arrival of the Enforcers. Xu Qi'an spat out his tea in shock. Li Mobo and Zhang Shen stiffened, turning swiftly to fix their stunned gazes on him. "The poem wasn't written by Yang Ling." The elder brother shot back, betrayal evident in his tone. Xu Qi'an held his ground. "I used a pseudonym." "Really?" they exclaimed in unison. "Really?" he insisted. Yet doubt lingered in their eyes. "What were you doing at the Ministry of Poetry?" Xu Qi'an straightened, adopting an air of innocence. "Just a young man enjoying himself." Silence hung in the room. The 3 learned men felt an uncomfortable rush of blood constricting their chests, as if their tongues had tied themselves in knots. Moments later, Zhang Shen erupted, pointing a trembling finger at Xu Qi'an. You, how could you waste a timeless masterpiece on a streetwalker? Does she deserve that?" Xu Qi'an grimaced internally, though on the surface he maintained a posture of feigned obedience to his elders. Li Mobo's agitation didn't subside. A typical lament about the plum blossoms is one thing, but to use the shadow of the plum blossom for something so base, you've sullied a magnificent poem. If it had been the library of Yunlu presented to Mobo, you would have laughed like a pig. Wouldn't you? Xu Qi'an couldn't help but roll his eyes in annoyance. The 2 lines now stood immortalized, preserved for eternity, yet wasted on a woman of dubious repute felt wrong. But Xu Qi'an knew that appearances could be deceiving. Without that poem winning the favor of the ministry's celebrated beauty, how could he have gained access to vital information? How could he bring down Zhou Li? Or, worse, what if the political rival of Zhou Shilong showed up? What fate awaited the Xu family then? Poetry was merely a tool. He needed to convert it into tangible benefits if it was to serve any purpose. Chen Tai sighed, initially disbelieving that Yang Ling was a mere alias for Xu Qi'an. But after considering it, he found the reasoning sound. With such poetic talent, it was impossible for it to simply appear. Li Mobo and Zhang Shen could take on such a pupil. Surely I could as well. Chen Tai made a silent resolution to find a way to recruit this talent as his disciple. After enduring a barrage of verbal chastisement, Xu Qi'an humbly accepted his fault and promised that if he ever penned another poem worth sharing, he would bring it to his esteemed teachers for refinement first. It was only then that Li Mobo and Zhang Shen begrudgingly calmed down, their regret tempered by the thought of witnessing a poem of such renown wasted on a mere courtesan. A travesty, truly. Xu Tan feigned sincerity as he changed the subject. My little sister has been studying diligently at the library for days now. I wonder how her progress is. The three learned men exchanged looks as Chen Tai couldn't help but chuckle. That sister of yours truly displays a fierce determination. She simply refuses to be deterred. Zhang Shen sighed in exasperation. In just a week, she's already cycled through 4 instructors. Li Mobo added dryly, each one has vowed never to teach children again after her. Xu Tu Ku and Xu Ning Yan exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of bemusement and concern. The Xu family courtyard buzzed with excitement as they finally reunited. Shen beamed at her husband and treasured son, while Xu Erlang greeted his younger niece and sister-in-law with open arms. When Xu Lingyan saw her father, she couldn't contain her emotions, running to him, embracing his leg, and sobbing loudly. Xu Tan's heart twisted at the sight. He believed his daughter had suffered too much at the library under the strict methods of her teachers. Xu Lingyue observed the scene, a soft smile on her lips. Now at an age where she could no longer throw herself into her father's embrace as her elder brother's little daughter did, she felt the weight of her position as the middle child always somewhat overshadowed, craving the love lavished upon her brother. Why has that sister of yours lost so much weight in just a week? Xu Qi'an moved closer to his younger sister, lightly grasping her delicate hand for examination. Her tiny waist was cinched tight with a sash, and her figure was starting to blossom, like a flower preparing to unfurl. She stood at the threshold of womanhood, a round face framed by large, expressive eyes. She was no longer the beguiling child from before but a blossoming young woman radiating purity and grace. Instinctively, she tried to withdraw her hand, but hesitated as warmth radiated from her brother's grasp, causing her cheeks to flush and her heart to race. Big brother. On their way home, Xu Lingyue boldly requested to ride a horse for the first time. However, since she didn't know how, she perched behind Xu Qi'an once her father granted permission. The sun bathed them in warmth, and despite the chill of winter, riding through the brisk air felt like riding through a frosty landscape without a helmet. Being a girl, Xu Lingyue nestled into Xu Qi'an's side, her eyes sparkling at the world around her, the safety of her brother wrapping around her like a warm cloak. But Xu Tan was no less protective. Big brother, this horse is going too fast. I think I might be sick. Then let's head back to the carriage. No, I want to ride on your shoulders, she insisted. Xu Erlang couldn't help but scowl at her antics, while Shen leaned out from the carriage with a teasing smile. Dear husband, while I've been away, did you have any fun? Xu Pingzi and Xu Qi'an chimed in unison. Not at all. Shen cocked an eyebrow, glancing between them with a smirk. I wasn't talking to you too. 3 days later, on a rest day, Xu Qi'an rose early, retrieving a small polished mirror adorned with designs of crossbows and daggers, its surface faintly etched in what seemed an ethereal fashion. He had temporarily repurposed this mirror as a sort of storage pouch, hiding away various trinkets within. At breakfast, Xu Lingyue turned to him, her eyes shimmering with expectation. Big brother, it's our rest day today. Will you take me out to explore? Xu Erlang recalled their previous encounter with Zhou Li on horseback, and frowned. I have the day off too. Lingyue, your father will take you out. Xu Lingyue fell silent for a moment before shaking her head. No, I suddenly feel a bit dizzy. Xu Tan furrowed his brow. What? That morning was meant for a visit to a flower market, an afternoon nap at home, and to end the day with a stroll through the night market, all to make the most of their time and allow for breaks to progress in his own cultivation. But before he could finish his thoughts, the gatekeeper, old Zhang, rushed in, appearing flustered. "Young master, there are 2 men outside looking for you." "Men?" Xu Pingzi took a sip of his kanji, unconcerned. "Who?" Xu Erlang waved him off. "Is it a colleague of yours?" Xu Qi'an shrugged. "Doubt it." Old Zhang hurriedly added, "They're dressed in black and wearing a peculiar bronze bell around their necks." The 3 men exchanged alarmed glances, the seriousness of the situation dawning upon them. "The enforcers. Quick, let's invite them in." Xu Pingzi shot up, rushing toward the main hall, urgency spurring him on. Xu Qi'an and Xu Tan Nian followed closely, their minds racing with questions about the enforcers' unexpected visit. What could they want? In the Daifeng dynasty, the imposing presence of the enforcers rarely boded well, often associated with harsh inquiries, imprisonment, or house searches. But surely Xu Tan Nian, as an esteemed figure, would not draw their attention. The 3 stepped into the main hall, where they encountered the 2 enforcers. Both wore black, cloaked figures, their sharp eyes betraying their youth. They bore complex engravings on the bronze bells that hung around their necks. One of them had a serious demeanor, while the other wore a jovial expression, his eyes crinkling with mirth. The cheerful one scanned the 3 Xu family members, settling his gaze on Xu Qi'an. "Which one of you is Xu Qi'an?" Xu Qi'an stepped forward, meeting their curious stares. "That would be me." The cheerful young man stroked his chin thoughtfully. "Come with us." Xu Pingji's brows knit as he moved to shield Xu Qi'an, clasping his hands in a wary manner. "What crime has my nephew committed?" The young man's serious counterpart frowned slightly. Meanwhile, the cheerful young man chuckled lightly. "If you've done nothing wrong during the day, then why fear the enforcers by night?" Xu Qi'an rolled his eyes at the lack of reassurance. Realizing the grim nature of the situation, he placed a steadying hand on his uncle's shoulder. "All right, I'll go with you." As he walked with the enforcers toward the door, a carriage awaited them outside. The grave enforcer gestured toward it, indicating Xu Qi'an should enter. The cheerful one, still grinning, stripped the bronze bell from his neck and struck it sharply, the sound ringing out. "Clear skies ahead. Be cautious of fire and wood." The enforcers drove briskly through the inner city to their headquarters, a journey likely to consume several hours on foot. Hardly the special treatment it seemed, but rather a necessity to expedite the process. The 2 enforcers were serious in demeanor, the atmosphere inside the carriage tense. Xu Qi'an and the other enforcer sat facing each other, curiosity and uncertainty crisscrossing the space between them. What could the enforcers want with him? Could it be regarding Zhou Li's predicament? It seemed improbable, though he couldn't guarantee he had erased every trace of his involvement in the incident. Without any surveillance in the Daifeng court, it seemed nearly impossible for them to trace it back to him. And even if there were leads, how could they have connected this affair to him so swiftly? Xu Qi'an absently pat his chest, feeling for the mirror buried within. He pulled out a silver note, a mere 10 taels, and released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Gentlemen, I am but a law-abiding citizen, sincerely admiring the diligent efforts you all dedicate to our realm, so I would like to offer this as a token of appreciation. Would you care for a cup of tea on me? If you could also enlighten me as to the specifics of this matter, I would be immensely grateful." The cheerful enforcer's eyes glinted as he regarded the silver note. The enforcers abide by strict rules. Accepting bribes exceeding 10 taels could result in lashes 50 for anything more, and exile for amounts above 50. Cross into the realm of 100 taels, and it could cost you your head. I have no wish to be beaten for nearly 10 taels. Xu Qi'an replied, his face a mask of awkwardness as he began to retract the note. Only to hear the enforcer casually state, "If you're seeking information from me." Xu Qi'an wore a mask of nonchalance as he retrieved 30 more tales. The young enforcer beamed, his eyes narrowing with delight. He tucked 2 of the notes into his robes, waving a third outside the carriage's curtain. "That makes 30 tales, so I'll split it with you 10 for each of us. And the last 10 will fund tonight's tea party at the Ministry of Poetry. Just enough for a delightful 5 tales each." With a serious face, he accepted the silver notes, muttering a grave, Amused, the jovial enforcer crossed his legs, grinning at Xu Qi'an. "While rules are critical, if we can agree to let our discretion reign when it's advantageous. Clinging to every regulation might just earn you a chilly reception."
Thanks for listening till the end. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next chapter.